Hey everybody, it's Seventh Element here, and this is my 1000 subscriber video. The one I should have made like a year ago. My bad. I kind of forgot about it, yet I didn't forget about it at the same time, so sorry. Anyway, I hit 1,500 not too long ago, so I figure I might as well just try to do something for you guys. Basically, a lot of what happened in school got in the way. I am a computer science major, and that's fun. Anyway, let's cut to the chase here. You guys wanted me to answer some questions, and I will go ahead and do such. I have a list right here, so let's start. How did you get started with the electronic music scene? Well, first off, I've been playing piano since I was about 6 years old. My dad taught me to use a 4-track when I was about 12 or so. And I totally hated music until I was like 14, by the way. Like, I hated playing, and I thought practice was the dumbest thing in the world. And I've changed my mind since, hopefully, obviously. But I started actually producing electronic music itself about 2008 was when I started messing around with FL Studio. I originally was looking to make games with RPG Maker and all that. So now that is stopped. Now that I don't do that anymore, I just kind of make music for cartoon horses now, I guess. So other than that, I've really listened to electronic music for a long time. Since I was 12 years old, I've been listening to Daft Punk. Discovery was my first electronic music album, and I loved it. Anyway, so other than that, it is what it is. My interests have broadened since time's gone on. For instance, I really like a lot of experimental stuff like breakcore and stuff like that now, and it just really spans a lot of different genres now. Alright, I'll try not to be so lengthy with the rest of the questions. The next question is, what made you want to do this? It's fun. Making music is a good way to kill time, I guess. When I have free time, it's a fun thing to do. The next question is, what genre would you call Ponyville 1997, and can you make more like it? Okay, so back when this question was asked, not too long after it was asked, I released my album Midnight in Equestria, the 80s revival pony album. And so Ponyville 1997 is, a lot of people just would call it that, 80s revival, or some people would say things like synthwave or stuff like that. There's a million different names for it, and it doesn't, I mean, just retro is just a way to put it. I have and will continue to make more retro styled music. It just kind of depends on what's on my plate at the moment. Next question is, how did you find MLP? I found MLP from a friend of mine who worked at my community college's cafe. She kept telling me to watch it, and I just kind of was like, nah, it doesn't really sound too interesting. And she kept pestering about it. I was like, fine, I'll watch, the pilot or whatever, and the rest is history. I fell in love with it. It's a great show. Pilot's not my favorite episode by any means, but it just kind of, I really like how the characters were introduced and the animation and all that. The story's been told a million times before. Somebody said, let's see, the next question is, what's the most ridiculous thing you've ever done, musical or otherwise? Probably recently that Jingle Bells remix I made at 420 beats per minute. That's pretty ridiculous. It's on my SoundCloud. I wouldn't torture my YouTube subscribers with that thing. It's called I Died on Crimbus Day. I made it for the Rain, Blood, and Vomit Christmas album. I'll link it in the description, I guess, but it should be obvious that it's a not safe for work kind of thing. Very loud speedcore, breakcore stuff. Alright, next question is, how was performing live in front of people? Did you get nervous or adrenaline rush? Tell us how it went. So, at the time of this question, I had performed at only one convention, and that was Midwestria. I've since been to 5 other conventions, 3 of which I performed at. That was TrotCon, Fiesta Equestria, and Crystal Fair STL in St. Louis. And I was nervous at first, really for all of them. I had some level of nerves. But as I started playing the set, and I talked with the crowd and, saw people dancing, it really just kind of became a really fun experience either way. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that can really describe playing a live set in front of a lot of people having a good time. It's kind of, I guess it's euphoric in a sense. Alright, next question. Would you make an ambient song or liquid? I have made a few liquid drum and bass songs, I suppose. As for a full-on ambient song, eventually. I wouldn't say I'm quite good enough at it to make something completely ambient. My next album I'm working on, which I'll talk about a little bit later, it has a lot of ambient elements to it, but I'll talk about that after I'm done with the questions. Originally, when I compiled this list of questions, I wrote out answers. This next question, I wrote out an answer that I think I'm just going to keep. For this time, I'm just winging it, but for this question, I like the response I wrote. When are you releasing your experimental avant-garde music, concrete, power noise, grindcore, doom, polka, power violence, ska, hardstyle album? I said, I'm doing it right now as we speak. I've discovered some really obscure science nobody has ever heard of, and I've transmitted the whole 3-hour album into your brain in the span of a millionth of a second. Side effects may include compulsive pig squealing and white noise emission. Contact your physician immediately if any of these symptoms last more than 5 hours. Next question. What is your favorite track you've made, and how long did it take to make it? This kind of varies from, week to week. It depends on what mood I'm in or what I've recently created. I really like my song Everything's Gonna Be Just Fine, and that took me about 4 or 5 hours to make. But it just kind of depends on what we're talking about and when we're talking about, I suppose. Next question is, what is your process from idea to complete song? This greatly depends on what genre I'm making. It usually starts with a concept or an idea of something, a visualization or a sense, feeling, and then I try my very best to put it in sound form, or I try to kind of absorb techniques or elements from music I like to listen to and then put it into that. It just really depends. I just kind of work through it. I just pluck around in FL Studio or whatever for a few hours and something happens. That's generally how it goes for me. It's not really that interesting, I suppose. Next question is, what do you do when working on a song seems to only make it worse? I either work on something else for a while and come back to it, or I just start over completely. It's just persistence is key to this thing. It's music stuff. Next one is, are there certain instruments, plugins, programs, whatevers you keep coming back to and not do without in the process of making music? Again, varies by genre, but I'd say I'd like to slap reverb onto everything. That's just something I like doing. For my 80s revival music, I like to use Lindrum samples. It's an old school drum machine that I love a lot. I'm starting to warm up to Native Instruments Massive to try to figure out sound design stuff. I'm still learning on that one, if you've seen by my last couple uploads. As far as that, I mean, just a variety of samples. I like just kind of another one of my favorite plugins is Arturia Mini Moog V Original. It's a really nice Moog synthesizer, like emulator. It's not really totally in depth with it, but it sounds really nice and I like it. Do you have tricks to make music sound a certain way? It's knowing what plugins to use, when to use them, how to use them, how to modify them to make them yours, I guess. It's a lot of tweaking. As far as a trick, I'm not really a professional, so I don't have these masterful tricks up my sleeve yet, I guess. And the last question is, what is the last musical epiphany you had? Probably working on this album. I have a musical epiphany whenever I'm working on something in general. It's not really something that's a rare event. I just kind of pluck away at the piano and then I can come up with some kind of cool sounding thing. So it just, it's a weird thing. Musical epiphanies. They just kind of hit you when you least expect it. Sometimes I can just be playing for hours and not come up with something. But if I walk by and touch 2 keys, I'm like, whoa, what is that? You know? So that appears to be it for the Q&A. I didn't really receive many questions after that. Again, I'm really sorry how long this took me to do. It was partly me not finding software to record my webcam, in part not having a really good enough computer to support something like that. And definitely part laziness. As you probably can tell, I'm a very lazy person. Okay, I'd like to talk for a little bit about my album that I'm working on. It is a Fallout Equestria post-rock / ambient / orchestral concept album. I read Fallout Equestria about 1.5 years ago, and I really love the story, and I've been wanting to make this album for a long time. Right now it's about halfway done. The album focuses on the backstory of Fallout Equestria. As some of you may know, the story takes place 200 years after the bombs drop, kind of in the sense that Fallout does the same thing. And I wanted to make an album about the main 6 because various parts of the Fallout Equestria flashes back to what happened in the past, and I believe that KCAT really did a really good job on making the main 6 like they are in canon and then progressing them realistically as actual characters. And I know I'm not really good at communicating these kind of things, but it was really powerful, I think, how she wrote it. And I'm making an album about the 6 ministry mayors and their ministry, essentially. And that's the name of the album, The Ministry Mayors. I currently don't have any album art for it. I might be playing some in this video for you, just probably at the end here, just to kind of give you a taste of what it sounds like. I'm expecting it to be done by this spring, given that school doesn't, rain fire and death upon me like it usually does. But we'll see where it goes from there. And I've been just kind of giving people some demo listens to it, and so far I've been hearing good things. If you really like my song Fallout Equestria, then I think you'll really enjoy my album. I'm taking a lot of influence from people like Godspeed You, Black Emperor, Mogwai, Industries of the Blind, Vokamotra, just bands like that. If it's your thing, check it out. But if not, I don't blame you. It's kind of it's not for everyone. It's a lot of really laid back, kind of melancholy stuff. And I'm still going to be doing electronic. I mean, as you know by now, if you've been subscribed for a while, I like to jump around a lot. I'm kind of weird with that. So, sorry about all the ums and uhs. I'm not really a good public speaker, or just good at talking to my computer while I'm alone in my apartment. But, oh well. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for listening, and thanks for subscribing.